can't give it up. Triumph or die.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Plugged, your weekly podcast about gaming, music, movies, television shows, all that good stuff. I am John Benson. With me is Wesley Powell.
Yo!
Eric Osborne.
Hey, people.
Who's smelling his hands.
I'm trying to cover my mouth up
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't start laughing into the mic hysterically like last time.
And special guest, Chris.
What's up?
And so let's get right to it. I went and saw The Great Gatsby last weekend, and that was a downer.
More
Anybody-
like the Great Crapsby.
You didn't even see it.
Well, I have some questions
Sorry,
for
go
you
ahead.
about it.
Okay, so, but you don't care about spoilers.
I do not care about spoilers. I've seen the original Red
Oh,
version,
okay. All right.
Here's the thing. Going back and thinking about it and trying to revisit it a little bit, I remember being young when I saw that film and getting bored. But I thought, my taste in film has changed a lot since then.
You know, they did a really good job of, I think, entertaining the expectations of modern day audience. Like, there's a flair to it that isn't actually the 20s. Like, it's not supposed to be authentic to the time.
Wes is giving fellatio to the guy.
What?
Like, the soundtrack is like Jay-Z and Jack White, Lana Del Rey, and it's very modern sounding with a 1920s aesthetic kind of splashed over it.
Which is really, that visually, it looked really compelling.
Mm-hmm. And all the parties are, it's like the whole story is told from Tobey Maguire's character looking back. So
He's the neighbor in this film, I guess?
yeah,
Okay.
George, I think.
I think it is George, which is perfect for Tobey Maguire because I love the guy, but he's not the most diverse actor. He does the everyman, the naive character really well. He's Peter Parker. He's not,
Exactly.
idealistic and naive and sort of ignorant about certain things, and that's George or whatever the character's name is. That makes sense.
Yeah. Whenever you meet him in the beginning, he's really, he's at not an insane asylum, but he's at a recovery hospital, and he was a serious alcoholic, and he essentially loses his faith in humanity because of Gatsby and the surrounding characters of his lifestyle and the whole drama around his life. But anyway, what was I saying about like the aesthetic of it?
Yeah, the 20s is the roaring 20s
Oh yeah.
style.
It's like it's him looking back, so it's not.
It's not adhering to complete realism because it's a person's
It's his
recollection.
memory. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so everything's a little bit larger than life. That's the Gatsby. That's why
Yeah.
he's the Great Gatsby.
But yeah, so that's visually, it's very, very entertaining.
How was the
And
3D in that film? 'Cause
I didn't
seemed-
see it in 3D.
It was
Okay.
in 3D.
That seemed like a completely unnecessary film to make
There's
in
like
3D.
Yeah.
there's like two parts. Like Gatsby throws a rock in a pond, and the rock goes boing, 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 like past the camera. It's like,
So
well,
you-
that was your 3D moment.
That's the coin
That's
toss
all you get.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically just lip service.
It's like
Pretty
dead
much.
3D is all.
Yeah. Well,
Which is boring.
but otherwise you don't seem terribly thrilled with the film.
Oh no, I loved it.
Oh,
The
okay.
first half is all parties and extravagance, and the second half is just Gatsby's whole plan to get the girl falling apart, and it ends pretty sad. I mean, like Gatsby dies, and the
Trust
wrong
me,
guy
it's
gets away
based on a
with the girl,
7-year-old book. We can spoil the hell out of it.
So I mean, it's a real downer at the end, but no, I really, really liked it. I mean, I haven't seen the original, I haven't read the book, but just that initial first impression, I liked it. But it was
Cool.
2.5 hours long, so
So
it is a marathon.
I got a message from you that said everybody, like, originally everybody that went, you guys are all going to go out and maybe have
Yeah.
some sodas afterwards or some milkshakes or whatever you guys do in your spare time. But I got a message
down to the
from
soda
John.
jerk.
I got a message from John after the movie. He was like, yeah, nobody wanted to go out. We were all kind of bummed out after seeing that movie.
Yeah, it was just everyone sort of shuffled out quietly, and we're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go home. Are you gonna go out? No, I'm not gonna go out. Oh, okay,
So
well, I'll
not
see
the
you
best
later."
date
Oh,
film.
I'm
If you're trying to
No,
look it up.
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the
Kinda-
couples just sort of left in silence. And
I'm over Tobey Maguire myself. I can't stand him.
Can't stand
What
him.
if he would have done?
He's too. Even in
another-
Spider-Man, dude. Like,
Well,
stand
Spider-Man.
that.
Spider-Man 3 was bad. But
well,
if-
even the first one, dude. I didn't like. I mean, it was expected because he was new to it, but his whininess when he got his ass kicked was disappointing. I mean, like getting thrown through a wall is gonna hurt, but if you got superpowers, suck it up a little bit. You know? Yeah, it's just terrible.
I think it has as much to do with Raimi, him doing that, as it does being Tobey Maguire. That's totally a Raimi.
I like Tobey Maguire though. He was in some other good movies. Was it
The
Pleasant?
Good Side.
Huh?
No, that's not him.
Pleasantville.
Pleasantville. He was really
Have you seen him in
Huh.
Brothers?
Yeah, you
He
were
was
talking
good
about
in
that
Brothers.
one. I
That's a
haven't
good
s-
He
movie.
was intense.
I kind
in
of
that
don't
one.
want to watch that movie because I know what it's about. It's like,
It's extremely depressing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
why did I saw the trailers.
He goes away to war, Toby does, and
And
his
so-
brother kind of watches over his wife.
Or if Sean were here, Toby too.
Yes. And they think he died. They get the letter that he's MIA, and but by all assumptions he's dead. So the brother starts to move in on the wife,
Like in
but
Pearl
in a
Harbor.
comforting sort of way. It's
Like
not
a-
like,
like a
oh
real
yeah, I've
brother
been waiting
would
for
do.
this. Like, and they don't ever do anything, but there's still something started, like a romance started to develop. So Toby comes back, and they're like, oh well, nothing. Well, they don't ever directly confront it, but it's just this awkward tension of like, you guys did something. And they're like, no, we didn't. But
So they
they're-
never actually did
no, but their whole relationship just falls apart over.
because of mistrust.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the movie.
Interesting.
And it's like winter the whole time.
I
and
kind
it's
of
just
I
dark.
kind of want to
and-
see it now because I just assumed they had screwed around or something.
No,
So
because
then I was going
It's
to
just
make me
real
hate.
tense. The whole thing. It's tense. Makes you feel uncomfortable.
at that point, if they did screw around, then it would just be like, well, these characters are awful. That's kind of how Gatsby
Well, that's
was.
yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be. That's why I didn't want to see it. Now that you're saying that that's not how it was, like I kind of do want to see it. Like the Great Gatsby, like every character is basically terrible. It's like
Gatsby
like-
being the least terrible.
that's
in
like
my
Mad
opinion.
Men. Like I like Mad Men, but that
Yeah.
show makes me so upset because I end up hating all the
That show
characters.
is the most wonderful, depressing hour of your week.
No one's
So,
redeemable.
no, everybody's flawed. No
There's
one's
not-
redeemable. Everybody has great qualities and evil qualities, and it's just the most depressing way to spend your
The only-
Thursday night.
The only character on that show that I kind of like, and I don't know that I should, is I don't know. I don't even know the character's name. She's in Community.
Oh, you're talking about Allison? Allison. Yeah, we're gonna call her that.
Well, yeah, we'll go with that. I like her because
Allison Brie.
Yeah, because she's
Man,
really
I'm
cute and she's nice, but she's really naive. She's kind of stupid in the.
I like the
show.
redhead.
The,
Yeah, she seems
was
pretty-
in Firefly.
She seems
yeah.
really smart.
Wait, who's she in
And-
Firefly?
Yeah, I don't
She
think
was-
She
was
was.
in Firefly
She
for 2
wasn't a
episodes.
regular. She was in like
Saffron.
2 episodes.
She was Saffron.
Saffron.
Oh wait, are you
That's
talking
the type
about
of rice.
Oh, like the
the chick from Mad
mistress's
Men?
boss.
Yeah, the red-haired girl.
The
in
red-
Mad
Oh,
Men.
yeah, I know what you're talking
I'm
about.
trying to avoid sounding like a complete misogynist pig, but the gal with the figure. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, she's nice.
Wow.
She's nice.
Yes, she is. Well, Great
Anyway.
Gatsby came in
She
this
has some
weekend.
shapes.
Yes, that's what
Yes, she does.
There,
she's
there
a
are
lovely.
shapes that are appealing to the.
She's a humanitarian. She's a poet and wonderful in every way. The
Actually,
great.
She's hot.
Her character may be one of the best characters in that show
Yeah,
because she is.
she's probably the most ethical one.
That's what I'm thinking. She is like. She seemed like I can't think of anything.
The most
that's-
ethically compromising thing she did was she lied about working in a department store to save pride and face.
I totally okay.
That's
I
not
take
that
that
bad.
back. So there's
I've
one
seen-
redeemable character in that show that I hate to love. I hate to love that show.
Are you talking about Mad Men?
Yeah.
Yes.
Still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched the first 2 episodes of that, and I already just hate humanity. Everyone is
So-
a scumbag and is cheating,
Would
and
you
What's that?
say
we could
would
talk
you,
about that later.
yeah, put that on silent.
would you say that Mad Men is worse, like as far as that goes, or the Great Gatsby?
Well, I don't know because I've only seen like
Oh,
2 or
that's-
3
yeah,
episodes of
you
Mad
can't-
Men,
okay.
but I mean, Mad Men gets it across pretty quickly that everyone is just kind of out for their own. But Gatsby takes a long time to at least to establish that the girl in the end that Gatsby loves isn't worth it. That she had to choose between Gatsby and the man that she married after she thought Gatsby was dead, and she chooses her husband, even though he's a cheating bastard, just because he comes from money, and
she's
Gatsby
Baptist.
doesn't. Hmm?
And she's Baptist.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Well, The Great Gatsby debuted this past weekend at $52 million almost, about 51.1.
It's not too shabby.
That's a really impressive. I think it's probably the biggest opening weekend for a Baz Luhrmann film in his career. A lot of that price is, of course, inflated by the expensive 3D tickets, and it actually opened in, I think, in IMAX theaters as well. But it still wasn't enough to topple the Great Iron Man, which came in its second weekend at a 58% drop at $72 million. This is all according to BoxOfficeMojo.com.
So its second weekend did better than Gatsby's first.
Absolutely, which and it's impressive that we have another. God, I can't think this is probably the fourth or fifth consecutive week where we have a box office over 140 million, which is good. We were in a slump there for a bit there, but what's funny is this is the first time in my recent memory I can remember a top 10 film not crossing $1 million. Oz the Great and Powerful came in at number 10
That's still in theaters.
did
at
anybody see that?
$800,000.
Was it good?
It was a movie.
I mean, I liked it myself. I didn't really get into.
Was it okay? I was afraid it was gonna be kind of like Alice in Wonderland.
Which was awful.
I
And
liked
atrocious.
Alice more than Oz.
I liked it the first time I watched it, and then after kind of
It's
sitting
pretty.
on it and thinking about it,
There's
I was
no
like,
story to that film. It is awful.
It was visually fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it
That's-
looks.
There's
yeah,
some
John
parts
Depp's
in it.
character was a
Yeah.
waste of time.
In Oz that it looked like the interns at the special effects team were responsible for some things. Like there's horses of many colors in the background, like in this pasture, and their legs are like little robo legs. They're just like, and it was
Oh.
just
So-
right there
yeah.
in front of you. It wasn't like
remember
way
seeing
off
that.
in the background. It was clear as day. This is a Disney film. Their budget is
Oh,
$250 million
unlimited.
plus.
and it was
Just
just
skimped on the legs.
embarrassing.
Those
Yeah.
bastards.
One of
So-
the interesting things about that film is the original Wizard was cast to be Robert Downey.
Ooh,
So, question about that movie: Has
that would have been way better.
did either the original Wizard of Oz or Wicked, did either of those tie into?
I don't know the plot of. Well, I sort of know
Like
the
it
plot
fits.
of Wicked.
I mean, it's a book. I mean, it's the movie's based off the book.
Is it really?
Yeah, it follows the story of the book, but it's just
And it looks like it may have scuttled the actual film production of a movie adaptation of Wicked because of Oz the Great and the Powerful. They were both to go into production around the same time, but they didn't want there to be the whole two situation where one of them bombs, one of them does well.
Wicked was amazing.
what's
I
that guy's
saw-
name that played the lead in this one? In Oz?
Franco.
James
the-
Franco.
James Franco. Yeah, I didn't really. His character was weird.
He's an odd actor. He is not as versatile as many actors. out there.
No.
He's
Yeah.
definitely not what I'd call a leading man type.
He's likable, but I don't think he's a good actor like at all.
What was
I
it?
like him.
7 days later. What was that one?
127 days, 127 hours.
Oh,
yeah.
he was good in that.
He was amazing in that movie.
Yeah,
Got an
I
Oscar
forget
nomination
about
for
that.
that as well.
But in this one, Zimzalabim. It came across real cheesy to me. I thought. Like,
Well,
it
felt
was-
like
it was
yeah,
uncomfortable.
If you're one of the people that actually sat through his and Anne Hathaway's Oscars last year, it was the most painful 3-hour quote-unquote entertainment I've ever seen, where Franco was embarrassed to spout off the cheesy bits of dialogue that the writers had given him. And you could tell, if you watch the Oscars with him and Anne Hathaway, he has personal disdain for that actress. He literally hated this woman he spent 3 hours with on live television. And I promise you, this was the Oscars' chance to try to appeal to a younger demographic instead of having the 60-year-olds who go buy their, Depends or whatever, and they're tied.
Oh, it's
Instead of
time
appealing to those
for the
people, they were
Oscars.
they were really trying to get a younger demographic to watch the Oscars, and it was the most painfully obvious 3.5-hour Oscars ever.
I guess I wouldn't have thought
I
of
missed
like
that, thankfully.
James Franco as being that appealing to a younger audience.
He is beloved by a younger crowd. I mean, you take a look at Pineapple Express and that kind of
That's a
stuff.
perfect role for
But that's a
him.
rated R
He was
movie.
good.
I mean,
So
That's
is-
not going to stop.
So is The
like,
Hangover.
No, that's
and
true.
Every one of my 11-year-old students has seen both the Hangover films.
do any of them ever come to school hungover?
Oh, we
No
have
comment?
one- but I can't really comment on that. Actually, it'd be illegal for me to comment on that. So.
Okay, just look at me. Wink once for yes and 2 for no.
Okay. The last week, the DVD release of Jack Reacher came out along with Mama, which was produced by Del Toro, and Side of X, which is supposedly Steven Soderbergh's last film he's ever going to make. He's going to go do TV and stuff after this, I think. But I want to talk real quickly about Jack Reacher. Have any of you guys seen Jack Reacher at all?
I
What?
skipped it. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Reacher was that was the film that they were in the middle of filming whenever he was going through his divorce, So
Really? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
they were in the middle of filming Reacher.
Cruise?
Yeah.
Really?
So
A fantastic film, directed and written by Christopher McQuarrie, and an adaptation of the novel One Shot.
so you saw it.
Fantastic film. It almost
'Cause
felt
it got
old-fashioned.
terrible reviews.
It got a 70, I think, on Metacritic. I could be wrong about that, which it's middling.
Yeah.
But one of the better films I've seen in the last few months. It almost felt old-fashioned because it focused so much on character and mystery as opposed to spectacle, which I've been. We're in the middle of summer season now. We're getting ready to ramp up summer season.
That was
I should
probably the
say.
problem, since most people were comparing it to Mission Impossible.
It is. It is
Yeah.
literally the anti-Mission
The
Impossible.
previews
Oh,
make it look
wow.
just like Mission
And it
Impossible,
is,
Yeah.
which is
'cause
why I
there
didn't
are
go see it.
there are huge lulls of time where there's like the film is where they use film as a visual language. There are huge spans of time where there's no dialogue being spoken and you have to watch the story, and it's very. It almost has like a silent film quality to it for the first 10 or 15 minutes where you're just watching things unfold and you're trying to put together the story and there's not
Cool.
a single word spoken. It's a fantastic film. If you've ever seen Christopher McQuarrie's previous films, he wrote the screenplay for The Usual Suspects and he directed a really fantastic and underrated film called Way of the Gun, which is also worth your time. One of my favorite modern westerns, I think, of the last 20 years. But yeah, those are the two films. That and Soderbergh's Side Effects, which is a story about pharmaceuticals and the role of how we medicate ourselves as a society. It's a really interesting Soderbergh film. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But other than that, we're getting ready to ramp up for the summer season. We've talked about a lot of the stuff. We'd be remiss to not mention the big film this week. We have to mention it.
Oh yeah, Star
Dun
Trek.
dun dun.
Which is where Sean is this year.
Our co-pilot, if you will, Sean is actually going to see that film tonight in 3D and IMAX. I think he's getting the full blowjob.
And you're going at midnight, right, Chris?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Looking forward to it. I think.
Oh yeah, I want to see these Klingons.
I actually watched J.J. Abrams in an interview today on The Daily Show, and he was commenting about how he didn't like Star Trek for his entire childhood.
Who was this?
J.J. Abrams was not a fan of Star Trek. He was more of a fan of the Star Wars type of universe, which is Star Wars is very much classical storytelling, and it's the samurai film, it's the western, it's almost not even science fiction in this classical structure. But Star Trek, while it gets a lot of flack for being deliberately cheesy at times, was a much more subtle allegorical story talking about racism and exploration and cultural divides and that kind of stuff. And so that's what appealed to Abrams about these new films. I'm very curious to see the second follow-up film. I'm kind of wondering if Abrams is going to try to resist his obvious tendency to have
Lens
gaping
flare.
plot holes. Now, lens flares aside, just gaping plot holes to set up a sequel or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm really kind of
See
curious if he's going to
Lost.
dodge that bullet. But it looks fantastic. I know nothing of the story, though. I'm kind of
neither.
surprised everybody's so excited about it because there's literally nothing in the previews revealing of the story at all. There's a girl at one point in her underwear, and that's all I really know
Hey, at
about
least
the
it's not
commercials.
misleading like Iron Man.
True, true.
Guess this
is
guy who's the
it?
bad guy? Yeah, he's not.
That was awesome.
Well, so they had a more in-depth preview that showed the Vengeance. You know, the USS Vengeance, which is
It's a humongous ship that's
it's the
sitting-
giant freaking ship chase
Yeah.
in the poster. Yeah,
Jeez, I'm a Star Trek nerd. I don't
and I'm
know
assuming
that.
it's from the future
All
because
right.
it's huge, right?
So,
So-
jumping time again? Really?
I mean,
I hope not.
I'm guessing that doesn't show that anywhere yet. But
Okay.
They're gonna do that more. Just I thought that was.
It's
so they could get,
USS Vengeance with an actual number on it, so it is Federation,
Yeah. Okay. Now
but
we're
it's
getting nerdy.
huge. And the poster makes it look like. Well, the preview I saw, it showed the Enterprise coming out of warp, and it just
It's just sitting in front of it. Yeah.
almost as big as that Romulan ship in the first one, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "What the hell?" And then he turns around and says, "I'm sorry." And then you see the ship getting destroyed, but you're not sure if it's the Enterprise or the Vengeance. You can't really tell. So
Well, we've talked
Probably
about
the
I'm
Enterprise because
excited
they just love to destroy the Enterprise.
well, that
like
and,
every
and it's such a
film.
classic storytelling trope. It's one of those things where I'm more surprised if they don't blow up the Enterprise. Honestly, it's the truth because this is your set, this is your story, this is your home, this is your vessel, and to really ramp up the stakes of the story, you have to destroy something. So either a character dies or your ship blows up, and it's a trope at this point. And I'm more surprised when they don't blow it up. Do something else. Every Star Trek film prior to Abrams handling, they did something to one part of the ship. So, yeah, and I get it, and I understand it. I'm not being too critical of it, but if you can't reinvent the wheel any better than that, maybe you shouldn't do it. So,
I really thought this guy was what's the actor's name? The villain lead?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch, yeah. See, I really
Sure.
thought he
Is it
was Khan.
Patch?
I mean, I think
Or is
he's
it
Khan.
Batch?
Is that what they're
Batch.
setting up to be? So
What'd
Star
I say?
Trek 2, Wrath of Khan
Batch.
story?
Yeah, see that,
Like
but
a batch of
Which
cookies.
is the best one.
That's
right.
what it is,
I
right?
saw that
I
in
thought it
some
was Cumberbatch.
text somewhere that said
Patch of
With
cucumbers.
the B.
Benedict Cumberbatch is playing Khan somewhere, and I'm like,
well, I've had
is
it
he
wrong all this
Khan?
time.
Let me double check.
Because the USS Vengeance, that has nothing to do with Khan. He should be like marooned on a planet. Right. Well, it showed them behind the force field. It showed a hand, a Vulcan hand, and a human hand up against glass, just like in Wrath of Khan. So
Interesting.
they were really teasing it.
So they're
stuff
playing
like
up
that.
the imagery. Okay.
Yeah,
See,
and it may
like
have nothing to do
patchwork.
with it.
Oh.
The last movie I wanted to mention before we go out of this topic is you guys have seen the trailers for The Lone Ranger at this point. Are any of you even the least bit excited for this film?
I'll go see it.
Are you really?
I
Yeah.
will not.
Jesus,
I
more than I am.
those trailers. I don't know. It didn't do anything for me.
I'm not the kind of guy that if you put Pirates of the Caribbean on the flag, I don't care.
I like.
Yeah.
Okay,
I-
I'm just such a
I
sucker
enjoy
for
the
Johnny
Pirates
Depp,
of the
but-
Caribbean movies. They're
I also
fun,
enjoy
but
candy, but I don't have it all the time either.
that's fine. That you're entitled to your candy enjoyment. But I don't know. This movie looks really boring. The trailers
Yes,
did
it
not
does.
look good. His mask, Zorro's mask, looked ridiculous on him. He looked out of place to me.
Okay.
I don't like the actor they picked for
Armie
Johnny
Hammer?
Depp's.
Or-
Yeah, he's not a bad
Well,
actor.
he's going
he
to be
just
playing side by side
That's
with
not
Johnny
his real
Depp.
name,
Like,
is
right.
it?
It's
They're both-
Armie Hammer.
No, it's not. There's no way it's his real name.
Dude, that's how they put
It's
it on the
his
poster.
movie.
Whether
Probably-
he was
no,
born
like
that
Brad
name,
Pitt isn't Brad Pitt's name. And
you're probably right. But Armie Hammer is how they're putting it on the poster.
his
Right.
name's
Oh, yeah, of
actually
course.
Bradley Pitt.
I mean, most actors don't
Pittsburgh.
use their real name,
Nobody ever
or at least they
gets no
change it a
jokes.
little bit just because sounds
Like what
weird.
was John Wayne's Marion?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Well,
been
that was
been doing it for
Nancy,
years.
John,
Well,
John
Nancy Wayne, huh?
Wayne.
Hmm.
We made John Wayne look like a Nancy.
yeah, that guy's he's been in some goofy movies. So
John
like
Wayne?
no, the Lone Ranger lead guy,
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer,
Oh,
That's his actual name.
Arm and Hammer. I think someone's
I know-
playing a joke on you.
And that's his parents they were hippies with a sense of humor. Well, since we've talked about that, chewed on that for a bit, we had a funny little article I ran across on RollingStone.com. Top 10 worst bands of the 90s. I'm going to quickly run down the list.
Top 10. All right.
Top 10. Number 10, Dave Matthews Band. Number 9, Ace of Base. Number 8, Spin Doctors. Number 7, Bush. Number 6, Hootie and the Blowfish. Here's the surprise. Number 5, Nirvana. Number 4, Hanson. Number 3, Limp Bizkit. Number 2, Nickelback. And number 1, Creed. Now, my favorite comment on the whole thing was number 3, Limp Bizkit. That was my that was my junior senior year of high school, and everybody got sucked into it at my school. I mean, but Fred Durst was quoted as to saying, "If you think that here's what he said: For years, I looked into the crowd and saw a bunch of bullies and assholes who tortured me and ruined my life." Fred Durst told Rolling Stone in 2009. They were using my music as fuel to torture other people, even dressing like me. The music was being misinterpreted, and the irony affected me, and we stepped away. I don't even listen to the type of music that's like Limp Bizkit at all. I love jazz and sad music. I'm a sentimental guy. I'm a romantic guy.
Like hell.
The
Someone's trying to
bullshit
salvage.
coming out of this guy's mouth.
Yeah.
Again, if you're gonna talk and sing and act and perform the way you are, fucking own it.
Yeah, I mean he.
Don't
acts
tell
like
me
a
what.
dick all
Don't
the
tell me
time.
you're a fan of Miles Davis when you're telling everybody to break stuff.
I did it all
You know,
for the nookie.
exactly.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I
the
love
guy
that
who's
music.
telling you to go rolling. That guy, he's romantic.
I wanna-
Fuck you.
whoever put Nirvana on that list, I want to punch in the dick.
You know, and it was a vote. They compiled about 8,000 to 10,000 votes for this list. I was really pretty surprised. I think that's just somebody being obstinate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, who?
I
more
bet
than
back
one
in
according
person
to
would
who?
have.
today,
RollingStone.com.
Rolling
Now-
Stone gave this top.
But
10
well,
list.
they even in the comments they comment about they're like whoever put Nirvana in here, they're just wrong or something.
Yeah, they said that Nirvana
I mean-
doesn't belong here. They don't belong on this list.
Some indie
You don't-
douchebag probably came up.
You
with
don't
this
put
list.
Hootie and the Blowfish and Nirvana in the same category. You don't do
Right.
that. Now you can complain about some of their songs being overplayed. You don't put them in the same category. One of the
Overplayed,
funny,
yeah.
the only devil's advocate argument I actually heard for Nirvana actually belonging on this list was that they really were pretty sloppy as far as being musicians. Chris is not exactly the most schooled bassist in the world, and Kurt, his solos were quite simplistic. But God, his stuff is so tasteful and so well written. Anybody who complains about them being a sloppy band needs to take a leap. But
So
Can you think of a better band than Creed for number one?
arms wide open.
Dave Grohl covered that song exceptionally well, by the way.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot else from them that I even remember. But number one, I could think of a better number one 90 band.
I don't know. I think that's pretty bad for me. I
Am
remember
I-
this
am
one
I-
time. I had funny story. I was actually at Wes's house, and this is back in college, and a house full of very lovely women who loved other women came over, wearing shock collars, and these lesbians came over and they started talking about rock and roll, and my buddy Slothman, who was very quiet, he spoke up and he goes, "So what kind of music do you guys listen to?" And she goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, I love hard rock. I
But we
love
didn't
music."
we didn't know they were lesbians, did we? At this time,
At this point,
we were
yeah.
trying to get ladies over to our.
Oh, it was a bad attempt on mine and Ben's part.
I wasn't even there.
You weren't there yet.
That's right.
And so Sloth's like, "So what kind of music do you listen to?" And this girl goes, I love Tool, I love Soundgarden, I love Creed. And at this point, my friend Sloth takes a cigarette out of his mouth, stomps it on the ground, not saying another word, and just walks away.
Yay, Sloth man.
Yeah, he was. That was one of the funnier things he ever did. But later on that night, he got too drunk and pissed in the kitchen trash can. I apologize for that.
Yeah, he did do that. He did
I
do that.
apologize. He didn't come to any house parties after that.
Really?
No, I didn't let him come back. He got belligerent, drunk, and he pissed in your
I
kitchen.
wouldn't have cared if he came back.
I did. I didn't want him pissing in my kitchen either.
At least he made it in the
So
trash.
don't invite
can.
him to your house. But
I
Wes's house is
remember
okay.
I walked up to the guy and he's taking a leak
Well-
in the kitchen in the trash can. I go, "Sloth man, what the hell are you doing?" And he just looks at me like,
I mean,
"Isn't it obvious?"
It's the trash can. Trash.
I had a
I'm gonna throw this pee
roommate
away.
that was
I'm not gonna save it in
actually
jars.
pissed in a worse place than that, though.
Oh yeah, they said he pissed in the sink, I guess. But at the same token, there was no stopping. I wasn't going to move him aside. I just couldn't believe he was doing that in front of God.
Speaking
and
of
country.
piss in jars, didn't you say you knew a guy who kept his fingernails
Oh yeah.
in a jar?
Can we say his
or-
name?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
He's
Okay.
a good
But
dude. He's
I
a really
will-
good dude. But he's funny.
I will talk about a friend of mine that, well, he's kind of more of an acquaintance.
So we can't talk about him.
I won't name him, but he had a pea jar. He
Oh
lived-
God, really?
He lived in a friend's basement for a long time.
Can I
and
guess?
You don't know him.
No, not the name. Can I guess why he had a
How
pea
big
jar?
was this jar?
I
Were there
don't
multiple
recall
jars?
actually seeing it, but I want to say it was like a 3-liter bottle, like a big
he-
Coke bottle. Or
Was he a
something.
big Bear Grylls fan?
I don't know. I don't think so. He was
Okay.
hardcore punk.
So was he in a basement
Oh,
or
yeah.
like another room or something like that?
Because there's
He
nothing
lived
harder
in the
than
basement.
keeping
So he
your
lived in the
own
Like the
pee.
basement was his home.
And so he
So
didn't,
your
What,
mom's
what, are you
basement?
gonna, what are you trying to guess here?
he didn't want to go upstairs, did he?
Right, because he lived in his friend's, like, he was living with his friend's family in the basement. And, well, the biggest reason was he didn't like getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom.
Oh, so he's just lazy.
Right, mostly he was lazy, but I guess, like, at one point,
He didn't have like a pee fascination.
the pea jar
What's
was...
worse?
Pee fascination. He didn't like put it in a squirt bottle and just missed his plants.
Well, he did have a... He didn't like to empty it. I'll say that. I mean, he did when it got full, but
Oh,
what
God.
inevitably ended up happening was he left it out one night,
Somebody
and then
kicked it over.
when he got up, he kicked it over,
Oh!
piss all over the floor.
Was there carpet?
Oh man, it's been probably
Not anymore.
It's
Rip
been.
that up.
I mean, that was 17 years ago.
Do you guys have any good memories about Dave Matthews Band, Ace of Base?
I had a
Bush?
roommate, Ben. He may listen to this. Hopefully he does. But that guy was crazy about the Dave Matthews
Oh
Band.
boy.
I don't know if he still is or not. Not my bag, but you know, I did listen. I still listen to the Cranberries. So
I don't think we've mentioned ever, but we're all artists in one respect or another here. Like Wes and I are designers. Eric, you used to be, and now you're a teacher.
He's a teacher of art.
Chris is a musician. I don't know what you
I could say
do.
something about Eric, but
Why are you
You
going
guys
when
all
you
play
can't
music except
do,
for me.
teach.
Oh, asshole.
Oh,
burned.
Jesus.
No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Eric's awesome.
that's, yeah,
I'm trying to get to
that's
your
not
question you asked us about what things from our childhood influenced us to like where we are now.
Let's
Was that
here, I
your?
got it pulled up. No, this was from Sean.
Oh, really?
Oh, we got
Are
reader
we-
mail.
Are we going to?
Listener mail.
We're going. Let's just go right
Jump
into
right into
mail.
it.
So we actually had three questions, right?
From Sean?
We got one. Well, Sean had a few, and then Chris is actually here, so we're going to answer Chris's questions in person. We're going to talk about it, and then there was one other person.
Yeah, from Liz.
Well, anyway, I guess we're going to go right into reader mail. So, listener mail, because nobody's reading jack shit. So, all right, what the question that you're referring to came from a little guy named Sean, and he was here last week. The question was there a game, movie, TV show, or band that really shaped you as a kid and helped you become the person that you are?
If my answer to that, if he meant professionally, what influenced me a lot were comics, and not comics in the sense of like Superman and whatever.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes, exactly. The Far Side Gallery.
Yep. Bill Watterson.
Like I would
Gary
copy
Larson.
them. Like I would just draw them over and over. And I've got old books that are just Garfield copies. And
I used to draw the hell out of Garfield.
yeah, I stole a lot of different styles and sort of made an amalgamation.
For me, it was Ghostbusters. Bill Murray, Egon Spengler, or Bill Murray. It was what was the character's name? You got
So
Egon.
you're a Ghostbuster now?
Oh, man, I loved Ghostbusters when I was a kid. I wanted to be.
You have the pack.
I have the pack. I have the proton pack at home, manufactured by Kenner in 1987. That's
So, how would you say that
shaped me.
shaped you?
It helped generate my fascination with language. I used to watch film and just steal lines of dialogue and incorporate them into my day-to-day life. I'd take lines from Roger Rabbit and the Ghostbusters, and I would spout them off like it's fucking Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then my teachers and my parents would be so confused why I was calling them toots, and that kind of stuff. It automatically.
creepy.
That film was sort of like the precipice where it's like you're going to either become a fully functioning member of society, or B, a crippling nerd who's going to have a really hard time getting laid later on in life.
I am the keymaster. Are you the gatekeeper?
Yeah.
Ever used that line?
Well, see, the thing, I wasn't the Rick
We
Moranis
have.
fan that some of you guys might have been. I really,
I
really.
Shrunk the
Rick
Kids.
Moranis. You know he put out a country album, right?
Jesus.
What?
Rick Moranis. He stopped acting and he put out a country album.
That's like when Eddie Murphy put out an album or two.
That actually sold though.
Yeah.
He
had
no,
some hits
he,
off of
he
that.
won. Rick Moranis won some awards for his album.
Jesus.
I'm not even kidding.
What?
Yeah,
all
look
about
at
detail.
that. He's a country. I don't know much about it. I think his wife died of cancer, and that's when he stopped acting. And his last movie was like a soccer movie or sports movie. I can't remember what it was called, but it's been a while since he's been in a movie. He stopped acting once his wife got sick, and
Huh.
I think she died, but I might be wrong about that. I'm almost positive she did.
Well, what was some of the films or
Anybody.
movies or TV shows you liked, Chris, when you were a kid?
I liked X-Men. Earlier in that, Fraggle Rock, Alf. Those
Well,
were all good ones.
Are these ones that you would say helped shape who you are today
X-Men, actually, probably for sure.
because of your mutant powers?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that about
Yeah,
you.
well, just because they talk in the cartoon, they talk a lot about right and wrong. I didn't grow up like super religious. I mean, I was forced to go to church, but I never paid attention. But that was,
So
like-
the whole Malcolm X, Martin Luther King aspect of it, of the X-Men mythos, really appealed to you when you were young?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I kind of taught me how to accept people for who they are, that kind of thing. Like way before it was even a real big issue.
You're saying
Real
you're-
smart.
Parallels between Malcolm X and Professor X?
Magneto's, he's Malcolm X.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah,
have Martin Luther King is Professor X.
Right.
And that's the parallels. When Stan Lee created it in the 60s, the history about why they're mutants is really kind of funny. By the time the X-Men were written, I think it was 1965 or 66 when he actually put the first issue out, he'd written Spider-Man, he'd written the Fantastic Four, he'd written the Hulk, he'd written Iron Man, and he's like, I need a new comic out, we'll call it the X-Men. That's a cool sounding name. Well, how do they get their powers? Well, I've already irradiated people from moonbeams. I've already put robotic armor on them. I've already exposed them to gamma rays. I've already had radioactive spiders. Screw it, let's make them mutants. I'm out of ideas. That's literally how I came up with the idea of them being mutants. The irony of it
Scraping
is
the bottom of the
he was
barrel.
scraping the bottom of the barrel. When writers like writers in the 70s grabbed a hold of the X-Men, they really lashed on during this social period, or during the social progressive period, lashed on the idea of the mutants being an estranged species or form of humanity, and that's where the mythos really got developed. I'm trying to think of some of the good writers from that era. None of them pop into memory. But yeah, the whole MLK Malcolm X angle came way later, and the idea that they're mutants was just because Stan Lee ran out of ideas. It's really kind of funny. And he's nonchalant about saying it. He'll tell anybody, I was just out of ideas. He'll say it.
Wasn't he like 200 some years old now?
Stan Leibowitz. How old is he, Wes?
Stan who?
Stan
Stan
Lee.
Lee.
Stan Leibowitz.
Oh man, he's in his
7.
80s?
We had the pleasure of shaking that guy's hand a couple years ago.
That's
at
true.
Comic-Con.
Yeah, it was a high five.
High five,
Yes.
Stan Lee. He's
That's
like
cool.
150 years old. And he gets around better than most members of my family.
Yeah, he
Money really reinvigorates a man. Gives you energy.
Oh, as for my answer for that question, I don't know. I want to go with Goonies because that seems like the obvious answer for me. But as far as shaping my life, like, I don't really know how I could tie that in there. But I want to make this work, so I'm going to go with Goonies, and I'm going to say probably
It's
I'm
influential.
pretty stubborn, and
Yes.
those kids, they fight for what they want. They want to stay there in the Goondocks, and that's what the whole movie's about. Them
Because
trying-
this is our time.
they're treasure hunting so they can get money to save their home. They really stand up for what they believe in.
That's
and
the plot of the Goonies.
That's how I am. They're trying to save their home, yeah. So they go on a treasure hunt. That's Goonies in a
To
nutshell.
find a pirate ship.
And
Why not?
I've
That
been
is-
on that treasure hunt my entire life.
Have you guys ever seen the octopus scene in the Goonies?
I have, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, somewhere.
It's in the like DVD and the Blu-rays,
Some guy I know downloaded some version
the
of it
laser
in there, I think.
discs, whatever you can find that movie. But that's I don't know. I still quote lines from that movie every day, and I've always had a group of pretty close personal friends, and I mean that was another big thing about that movie was just friendship. So
Yeah,
and I never wanted to
and
grow up.
that's something that like the writers like Steven Spielberg really latch onto with films like Step by Me and he even what was that really awful film that had Morgan Freeman that he wrote as well. Stephen King wrote not the Langoliers. Anyway, he's always about writing like a clique of people together, youthful kids trying to get together and having a friendship, taking on some sort of task. He did it with It. He did it with Stand by Me. He did it with.
Is it The Stand, maybe?
No, not The Stand. It was the one with the alien invaders where they go up people's assholes.
What?
Dreamcatcher?
Dreamcatchers. There you
Yes.
go. Good man.
I was going to
With,
say
How could I
Duddits.
forget that?
I was going to say
Duddits,
the
man.
Puppeteer.
That was Donnie's debut movie, I think, right?
Oh my God.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh God.
He was Duddits.
I remember Morgan Freeman with a completely straight face. He said in front of the camera, he goes, I've been fighting these alien assholes for 20 years. He says it just like that.
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan
And,
fucking Freeman.
like he uses
president.
assholes because they
Nah.
fly up their assholes.
He said it completely. I just couldn't believe it. It's a terrible film.
So we have another write-in. Would you like to introduce this person, John?
Sure.
not.
My sister wrote in, and she says, "You got the computer."
Okay,
so.
yeah, I'll read it. This is a message from Liz. I'll just read it because it's pretty short. Hello, Get Plugged team. You guys need to continue recording yourselves having geeky conversations.
God.
That's what we do.
God bless you.
That is what I feel like this podcast is. A couple of hours of genuine fun conversation. It was really easy to listen to.
Blah blah. We're awesome. Yeah,
She's
we
too
write it
kind. Far too kind.
It's all
Questions.
true, all true, and we appreciate you writing in.
God bless her.
So you said to ask questions, so here are a few. So she's
good.
got 3 questions for us.
numerically.
They're bulleted. Is
I
that
love
okay?
it. I'll take it.
Paragraph
All right,
form.
so we'll go with the first question.
Professional.
Do any of you play the Total War games? And if so, thoughts on Rome 2 coming in September?
No, the only reason that game is at home is because I pulled it out of a dumpster whenever people were moving out at the end of the semester. Someone threw away all their computer games, and that was one of them I pulled out.
Total War.
Yeah.
You couldn't
it
go
was-
wrong with that one.
But I guess she's been playing it now. No, I've never touched it. Has anybody ever played
so
those?
Liz,
I
you're
played
playing-
it back
you're
on the PC
actually
back in the
playing
day.
trash. Just so
No, those
Literally.
series, that game is a really good series for a long time. I remember playing back on the PC back when I was in. Gosh, I guess I was still.
Is
in
it kind of like
college years.
Civ? Because I love Civ.
I compared it to games like StarCraft and that kind of stuff.
But I thought it was turn-based.
It is turn-based, yeah. But that's just how it
So it's
felt
not
for
real
me.
time.
Yeah, I guess it would be more like Civ or something like that then. Yeah.
Huh.
But anyway, that's a fantastic series. I haven't played the most recent Total War games, but they've been well
The second
reviewed.
one looks amazing. That she's referring to. You're gonna have to have a pretty sweet rig to make it look like it does.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, next question.
Our next question: who is your favorite animal sidekick in Castle Crashers?
Okay, so I've been meaning to download this game, but I didn't until I read that question, and I finally broke down and bought it. That game is amazing,
Awesome.
first of all.
It's fun. The game's a
and
blast.
I will be buying it this weekend.
I think it's $6 on PSN now. It's really
15,
good. It's still 15.
yeah,
Ah!
it's actually
That's a 4-year-old
still
game.
going up in downloads.
Ah.
Like it's like Eve, where it just keeps on getting more and more people
Keeps
buying
building
it.
and building?
Yeah,
All right.
as opposed to like World of Warcraft, where it's losing. It's
I
dropping.
really
off.
want to talk about World of Warcraft in a minute.
But okay, so I got to a couple of the little sidekick pet things. I got like this little ram that floats behind you. It's just like this little ram head with big horns, and it runs itself at enemies. Everything's really cute in that game. So
What are some of the other sidekicks you can get?
there's a little bat that just has this really happy open mouth. Like it's basically just a floating mouth with little red eyes, and it attacks all of your little sidekicks. Help you either through attacking or upping your defense or whatever. But that one like bites people and does damage.
So can you level these things up?
No,
No.
but there's just better ones, and you
Do you
collect them as you
level,
go
do
through
you
the
level
game.
your character
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
And there's 4 attributes you pour skill points into whenever you level up. It's like magic, agility, defense, and attack. And as you get like every 4 points, you get like a new magic ability, a new attack, and
So there are classes.
yeah.
So
And you
okay,
unlock
okay.
more characters as you go along who have different abilities. And the game is really made for couch multiplayer.
It looks fun. It looks like a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it's a 2.5D side scroller hack and slash, and it's just these. I love the art style. It's super goofy. You definitely need to buy it. It's worth the $15. But I mean, if you have, especially if you've got someone to play it with.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there were some parts that, unless you have more people with you, you're gonna die. And the idea is, you'll die, but then you'll level up. Because like if you level up while playing it and you die, you still get that level up. So you'll pour those attributes in and then try it again. So you can either like grind the level, or you can get more people with you. And because there's some boss battles that are pretty hard. So I think the best experience would be with as many people like as you can party up with.
Chris, no.
Couch multiplayer is my favorite type. That's literally.
And I haven't played a good couch multiplayer since like Nintendo 64, or GameCube.
Was it GoldenEye or Perfect Dark?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whenever there was no online
Mario
multiplayer.
Kart.
I remember buying
Yeah.
the floor player multi-tap for my PlayStation 2 and using it like on 3 games the entire life of the system.
Yep.
Chris, no Castle Crashers for you?
Nope.
No.
No, not a computer game guy.
No, it's,
No.
It's
they have it
Xbox
for
and PS3,
Xbox.
man. It's
Right.
fantastic. It's so. Did you ever play Turtles in Time back in the day?
Totally.
The game's
It's-
fantastic, right?
Yeah.
You'll love Castle Crashers.
So it's like a 2D.
Two-dimensional,
I mean-
little characters, swords and
Little-
shields,
yeah.
and
There's deer who
Yeah.
who get scared and they poop themselves
But
into a rocket propelled frenzy. They just shoot around the screen pooping.
It's
it's fast, it's frenetic,
Yeah.
it's easy to pick up and play. You can spend more time, or it's as deep as you
a,
want it
it's
to
a
be.
side-scrolling hack and
Is
slash
that- yeah,
game.
yeah.
Is that with,
With-
side scrolling?
with-
So it's
yes.
like the
Yeah,
2D. Okay.
with RPG elements.
Not at
maybe?
all. I mean,
Well,
you-
the level. I'm thinking the classes and the leveling up. Like
Yes,
that
but,
sounds.
well,
very,
it's not like classes like pick a mage or a rogue. Or
Oh,
a
okay, I
knight.
thought maybe each knight had a
no,
different.
they just have like
okay.
a different power. Like everyone has a magic ability.
All
But
right.
And this next question, I'm surprised we managed to avoid it this far. We're already 4 episodes in now, and we haven't talked about this show once.
Oh yeah. So the third question is: anyone pumped for Arrested Development back on Netflix on May 26th? And I am goddamn excited. I'm not even gonna lie.
I've been biting my tongue because I know I don't want to be like we're the Iron Man 3 podcast where we talk about the same thing week after week. I am super excited to talk about Arrested Development. I kind of want to bite my tongue until we actually see the first couple episodes, because the
I'm-
format sounds really interesting.
Well, you know they're releasing them all at one time.
Just like they did with that
So-
Kevin Spacey
House
series.
of Cards.
House of Cards, yeah.
So I'm actually
That's
attending
smart.
Arrested Development
Watch party.
Yes,
Awesome.
they're calling it the can't talk Bluth Family Reunion, I believe.
You're just gonna marathon it? Like you're gonna watch the whole season?
I think that's the plan. I haven't actually.
I'm starting to
talked
watch
Is
the
that
old
how you get
episodes
burned
to catch
out
up
though?
now.
Like, or can you?
But you
really-
want to savor it and watch
You
it?
know,
Well,
I
because I can only watch like 2 episodes of anything at a time, and
I
I'm
think
not
with
like
a group of people it would be different.
Well, whenever
Yeah.
you watch stuff with a group of people, it'd be kind of cool to see people take on some of the characters' traits
And
throughout the night. That'd be fun.
It would be cool if it were like a weekend event. That would be cool. But I've been catching up. I've been rewatching the first 3 seasons, so I'm really
I've
excited
never
about
seen
it.
it.
Like
so.
this is, in my opinion.
Wait, hold on. You've never seen Arrested Development?
Nope.
I've never seen it either.
Chris, John,
Wendy really wants to
Chris
check it
John.
out, and I don't. It's got that funny guy that we like in it.
David Cross.
Is he the guy from Identity Thief?
No, that's
J-
Talking about Bateman?
yes,
Bateman, Jason Bateman. Yeah, we like him.
Michael
awesome.
Sarah is in it.
That's where he got his start, really.
Yeah.
How many episodes? How many seasons is this?
3 seasons.
3 seasons, two
Oh,
and a
that's
half,
nothing.
really.
It's
Okay.
so clever and witty, and it's
Literally,
so
the
good.
reason it got canceled because it rode over people's head. And you're talking about a time. This is when sitcoms were still. It's still pretty pandering to the audience, kind of sitcom era. This is late '90s, I'm thinking, when that show originally came out.
I did read
Early-
that a
Was
couple
it?
days
Yes.
ago.
You know, I forget. I keep thinking it was when I was in high school.
It was
but-
early aughts, I think, or late '90s, early aughts.
So it's like the era of Friends.
No, we're post Friends.
Yeah, this
we're
is-
post Seinfeld, post Friends, and it's like Seinfeld was smart, but people could have jumped on board. This show, and almost at times would demand you pay attention because it refers back to old episodes from time to time. But the show's just so clever and entertaining. It's got such a sardonic wit, and it's well written, and the characters fully embody who they are, and the editing of the show is remarkable. It's so high end. It was produced by Ron Howard and his production company, and he had such faith in it that they kept pushing the show even after the ratings sunk week after week after week. And the fact that he even got 2.5, 3 seasons out of it was pretty impressive because it never pulled the numbers. It won Emmys. It won daytime award shows. It did all kinds of great promotional stuff behind it. They had the best guest list they could possibly pull for a TV show.
You think if Netflix were around, like 8 years ago, they would have sort of, in their sense, kickstarted Firefly back up?
Absolutely, I have no doubt in my mind because it's gotten to the point where the actors have splintered off in so many different directions, and they've actually made solid careers, especially Nathan Fillion for himself. That coming back they're so far removed from that series and that style of TV
Oh,
show
yeah.
that I think you're right. It's The Girl That Got Away. I'm more interesting than not is the way they're building this series. Like Wes was saying, they're releasing them all on the same day, same as House of Cards. They're doing the whole thing and releasing it all at once. And I think this, again, that company gets a lot of shit for being acutely unaware of how people want to consume their media whenever they try to splinter their streaming service off from their DVD service, and it made so many people mad. I think this is the absolute opposite because they realize that when people consume media, they want all of it and they want it now. And they will pay for
Definitely. Yep.
it. But they want it and they want it now.
I just canceled my cable yesterday.
And
as
you
a
did,
matter
you're
of
not
fact.
missing anything from it.
Yeah.
And I bought Castle Crashers as a reward.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're not going to miss any of the sports games you weren't watching or any of the
Yep.
HGTV you were paying for that you never saw.
Exactly.
I canceled mine like 4 months ago.
Felt
I do the
so
same thing.
good.
I actually have Hulu Plus and Netflix
Yeah.
because our TV shows are on Hulu Plus.
Man, I'm wanting to switch over to Amazon. We talk about this every episode.
Oh,
but Amazon,
I know.
I think, might be the way to go. But right now, I'm also Netflix and Hulu.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about Arrested Development when we've actually seen more of it. Are we excited? I can tell you this side of the table, Wes and I are thoroughly excited to get back in the Bluth swing of things. The way they're doing it, I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not like worried really, but I'm kind of concerned how each episode of the 12 is going to spotlight a single character. So you're not going to get that great dichotomy of the characters interacting together until
I
the movie.
think you're going to get more of that than you're thinking. Have you seen the trailer?
The movie.
I've seen parts
There's a
of it.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
There's a movie
Yeah, we
coming
don't
out.
know.
They're prepping for a film. Ron Howard's already been quoted as talking about
They've
it.
been talking about it forever.
They're-
though.
they're-
We'll
it's,
s-
depending on the reception of this series.
So this is a marketing ploy for the movie, you think?
I think it is.
Well, I think when they first announced this, it wasn't just going to be one season on Netflix. But now they're saying it is.
One season, yeah.
I hate it when
season
shows
on Netflix.
develop or
Um,
adapt into a movie.
So
They
yeah,
cross the
thank you,
medium.
Liz,
Yeah.
for the question and for writing in, and thank you.
Yes, Liz, you're too kind to a bunch of dumbasses.
Although Firefly and
thank you.
Serenity was
Yeah, well,
amazing.
the only point I was going to make was
Yeah.
a movie helps to seal it. Kind of like
it's a good
That's true.
cap,
yeah.
Yeah.
which I think would be fine for a show like the rest.
Maybe
of
that's what they're doing. Yeah.
The whole
They're gonna
American
go-
model of filmmaking, or TV, I should say, is where if we like something, let's get more of it, and they'll end up with 10 seasons of The Office when it's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
As opposed to the British model, where if you like a show, you watch it for 2-3 seasons, and each season's like 7 episodes long, and that's it. And what was that Edgar Wright TV show he did?
Space.
Spaced, fantastic show.
I
It was
was
only 15 or 20 episodes long the whole time. It's like we've told our jokes, we've made our characters.
Simon Pegg
we're
in
done.
that.
Yeah,
It's a
The Brits do comedy right.
yeah, they do.
They do
And
such a
and
good
again,
job.
I love American.
well, they've been speaking
media,
the
but-
language longer. You see, so
That's true. That is.
They know the funnies.
There's true.
And if
That's-
you've listened to an entire hour of this podcast, I think you owe it yourself at least watch an episode or two of Spaced, because that was a late '90s TV show on the BBC that was catering to the geekiest of the geeky, and
And it
had
still holds up.
and it holds up just fine. It holds
That's-
up just fine.
Let's do one more question and then let's cut to break. Is that cool?
I'd love it.
All right, we have a question from a guy named Chris, who may or may not
Sounds
be
like
here
a
with us
douche.
today. He wrote in, so we had him on the show. If that's what you do, maybe we'll have you on as well. And you can write to us at getpluggedpodcast.gmail.com. Getpluggedpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, so Chris's question is, in my world, an IP refers to Internet Protocol. Lol. What is what is an IP when talking in video games speak?
Who wants
So,
to
yeah,
answer that one?
No, I'll do it. I mean, it means intellectual property. But I wouldn't have known that either. But I listen
Okay.
to so many podcasts and read IGN and PlayStation. They talk about it all the time. And that
Just
was
common
something
language.
I think I probably a couple years ago, I probably looked that up myself.
Because
but-
I heard you talking like this company has put out like 12
They've
new
got
IPs.
You know, sometimes I
was like-
forget. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what you meant, like new concepts, new ideas.
New characters, new franchises. Really, whenever you hear the phrase IP, they're really talking about the new franchise. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So
yeah,
that's
good question.
Interesting.
That's
it brings me back down to earth sometimes. I forget that
We-
some people actually have lives.
There are different levels of nerd.
we
Keep
speak
telling
to
Wes
geek
this.
very well.
That's
Yeah.
like the
So-
business side of nerd, though.
Yeah.
And you guys know me well enough. I love talking the numbers. Like, I have to restrain myself. I could talk about domestic gross of box office film, best-selling DVDs and games of the week. I love crunching the numbers. I like seeing how media is being received, because more than anything out there, people speak with the dollar more than their words.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
you want to cut us out?
We got one more. Let's do one more question
Shoot.
from Chris. So Wes and Eric, that's me and Eric, may know. I can't read now. This thing's getting in my way. Where did that? Okay.
My tastes.
Yeah. Wes and Eric may know my taste, but I am a run and gun gamer. Do you think I would like Army of Two? Is it worth playing? Eric.
Okay. I actually have played the entire series. I think it gets a terrible rap. It is the ultimate bro shooter. And I know that's an insult. I know it is. But if you like Gears of War, it's much more accessible than Gears of War. It gets crap for its brazen mentality of just kill and move on.
Gratuitous
It is
violence.
completely gratuitous.
Yay.
There was literally an army of two. I think in the first or second game, there was a high five button. Whenever you kill enough people, you can walk up to your teammate and get high five, fist bump, or bump elbows. There's a
playing
Uncharted,
this
Uncharted
game.
does that.
That's
Also.
Here's the
awesome.
thing, and the cool thing about Gears of War is like, yeah, you know, it's like, here's
come on!
We say fuck every 5 seconds. We are so fucking serious. We have chainsaws mounted on guns. That's Gears of War. It's like, yeah, fuck chainsaws. But Gears of War is self-aware enough that it's just as stupid, but it's fun. There were some innovations in that game people didn't give credit for. The aggro meter, where you could, like, if you drew enough bad attention, like if you pissed enough people off, all the AI would target towards you, and that would literally allow your partner to flank and counter. It was a really clever game. The third game I just played recently, it's a fine game.
Is it bro in the sense of like the Expendables, bro? 'Cause
Totally. It is. If you cannot stand the Expendables, if you cannot watch a Schwarzenegger film and laugh, this game is not for you.
Was The Expendables supposed to be a good movie?
Good? No. Is it
It
fun?
was an homage
Yeah,
to
that's-
awesome.
Do you like watching
It's
It's
a
a
what
80s
if
action
movie.
movie.
Exactly.
That's what I mean.
If you sat through a Michael Dudikoff American Ninja film, if you sat through any Delta Force movie, you can watch The Expendables. If you can actually
Missing in
enjoy
Action 2.
Total
Chuck
Recall by
Norris.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you can actually enjoy anything I've just mentioned, yeah, Army of Two is a blast. The first one's like $5. Yeah, it's really good. But I love that stuff. Again, like I said, I know I get all hotty-totty about the Oscar time, but man, it's a stupid series, and it is so much fun. And you talked about couch co-op. It is the ultimate couch co-op game for this generation in
If
terms of
only I
being a
had some
shooter.
friends.
And I like
know.
that. Yeah, I mean, that's,
If you have a buddy over, get fucking smashed and play this game. And you know,
Yeah.
one of the main characters is voiced by our favorite voice actor,
Nathan Fillion?
Nolan North.
Oh, voice actor.
Yeah, voice actor VO.
They're the same.
And so, again, and it's a lot of fun. It's just stupid, gratuitous, blow up shit fun. And is it a good game? I enjoyed
Who's
it.
to
That's the
say?
point of a game,
I'm
right?
a beholder.
Oh, bro.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean,
One of the things that drove me bonkers about all the Gears of War games is that I know they were trying to be Band of Brothers in the future, but the writers are too stupid to know how to do that. And I hated when that game took itself so seriously with Dom's character and what was
And his wife.
and that character's
the
wife
second
getting
one?
killed. I was like,
Yeah.
I do
I-
not feel for these people. This is almost offensive in its gratuitous violence.
Yeah, the writing is awful, but I really liked the scene whenever he finds her and she looks fine, but
it's all an illusion, right?
yeah, and she's actually just withered
And she can't
disgusting
talk. She's
looking.
in a vegetative state. And
Yeah,
you're like,
I
and-
really liked that.
But that scene had so much potential.
And then the dialogue is just, oh, bro,
And he's
I
like-
don't want to talk
And
about it.
literally, Dom goes to him and he goes, "Hey, dude, you okay? I'll get through it. Let's go. Chainsaws!" You know, and you're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
And so, like,
No big
that's
deal.
like that's
It's
like
life.
that moment in that film was like a game-ending moment, and it's like, "Oh, let's go blow shit up." And so, yeah.
You know what actually bothers me the most is Coltrane. That he is
Oh my
such
God.
a stereotype that it's insulting. And I'm not even
man.
black.
pro ball player.
I
Get on the. Never mind. I'm not gonna
am
do it.
not
Actually,
going to
I'm
finish
not
that.
gonna. Woo, baby! Clip. You killed it.
Yeah. Okay, and with that, let's go to break.
All right, now I'm not done talking about video games yet. I want to pick your brains, and I might put some bets on the table. I think you're going to not only hear about the next Halo this
Yeah.
E3,
No,
I think
you
you're going
won't.
to. I think you're going to have previs stuff coming up.
No, you won't.
And I think there's even a good chance it comes out at system launch.
That's not like there's already been press reports from
They won't come out.
343 that next year is Halo 2 Anniversary Edition, and then 2015.
So they're
is Halo
remaking
5.
So you-
Halo 2?
Yeah, just like they
I,
remade
you think
Halo
that,
1.
you don't think there's a little bit of a head fake there? You think Microsoft is really that daft to come up with no first-party exclusive that people recognize on the launch of their most expensive launch ever?
I don't think.
You think they've got no intellectual property, no Gears of War, no Halo ready at launch or in launch window?
Did they with the original X or the Xbox 360? The PlayStation didn't have
The
that.
Halo 3 came out with a launch window.
No, it didn't.
Are you sure?
Of 360? No.
What did it have on launch? Was it the demo came out for Halo with
No.
Crime?
3
I don't
didn't come out
remember
for a
what,
good long time.
Dude, what came out on Xbox 360's launch window then?
Viva Pinata.
I don't remember anything big like right when it came out.
I don't remember anything big on
Perfect
PlayStation
Dark
either.
Zero. Gran Turismo.
I think their biggest hurdles were like backwards compatibility.
Project Gotham Racing.
So golf was a big IP for them at the time.
Yeah, but that's really faded out thanks to Forza.
Yeah.
But no, we won't. I think we will see a logo splash for Halo 2 Anniversary, maybe.
Okay.
Is that's coming
'cause
out on?
There's such a long life cycle for the multiplayer. For
Oh
Halo
yeah,
games.
they've got legs.
So-
I mean, they just shut down the Halo 2 servers last year.
Yeah, which
So-
is
They have legs.
Is Halo 2 Anniversary? Is it coming out next gen Xbox?
not that I've heard.
So we're not
Supposed to be
we're not
this
even going to see
generation.
one of Microsoft's biggest properties for 2 years.
I could see them making
Yeah.
Halo 2 Anniversary both on the 360 and next.
This is just what I heard from Podcast Unlocked. Like
Okay.
those are all IGN guys.
interesting.
I'm so what is
If that's the case, that's very good for Sony because they have a pretty strong launch window lineup.
they do, but no, the IPs aren't recognizable. If it comes
That's
out with
true,
an Uncharted
that's
game,
true.
But I
like
mean,
it did originally,
Microsoft has been so quiet that
That's
who's
why-
to say that there isn't an IP that's just going to release with the system?
I can't-
Just like Halo was a launch title for
Or
the
pack
original
in
Xbox.
Call
Well,
of
I
Duty
still think
Ghosts
they're
or
gonna.
something
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
they're gonna do Call of Duty.
I think they're
but
gonna-
that's gonna be cross-platform.
I mean, maybe Microsoft isn't concerned about, their sole
I think they.
proprietary
I think they
series.
either have some major cards up their sleeves, or
There's an X factor.
either that, or they're just like, oh, we're fucked. Sony did a really good job, and I can't decide. Like, what do you think it's gonna be? We're gonna find out.
Is Xbox going to release their console first or PlayStation like
I
last time?
think it's going to come out within the same 2 or 3 week window. I think they're
Really?
gonna launch-
Because
I think they're gonna launch
PlayStation 3
Xbox.
came out quite a
No,
bit
a
before.
year
right?
later.
Yeah.
Nothing's been officially confirmed, but was it the new Call of Duty comes out in November?
Ghost comes out in November, but
And
it
so
has multiple-
speculation is it's going to be coming out either that same day or like
And
shortly
speculation
before.
is that it may release first for 360 and then later for PS3.
I could see that.
So there's a big draw. I mean, the whole Call of Duty audience going to just to pick up a 360 solely to play Call of Duty.
I'm excited.
Or,
I want to see what
720 or
I want
whatever.
to see what they're going to have to
Durango.
offer. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of. You're right. There weren't a whole lot. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. There weren't a whole lot of exclusive launch titles within the launch window, like Xbox 360
I think
launched in
they're-
2005.
But they're still making so much money on their 360 games that
Well, I'm just
at this
saying, yeah,
point.
yeah, of course. But when you come out with a new system, people don't want to buy a game or system without games for it.
Yeah,
the
but you-
PS3 spoke to that pretty clearly. The first
Yeah.
exclusive they had was
They-
Metal Gear Solid 4, almost a year and a half after its initial launch.
but
They
they
wanna
also
take- yeah.
realize that, you know.
They want to take advantage of the new technology if you're going to buy it.
I
That's
think
true.
Microsoft is going to take full advantage of, I hope their big X factor, one of them anyway, is making a seamless transition between PC gaming and 360 or the 720. If they
they've
could tie
turned-
that
those
will
two
be-
They've
communities,
turned
that would be
into such a
big.
PC unfriendly company lately, though. Like what was funny was Xbox Arcade used to be the place PC companies would go to get their games out there, but they put so many barriers between developers trying to submit their stuff online that we got to do them this week during
right? But
this
I'm not
time
talking
of
about
year.
arcade or like indie games.
But that's the segue for PC to console. Right
Well,
there, is the
they've already
arcade.
got games that are cross save, right? Like you can like I thought
no, not cross save, cross achievement.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if
But
you get
there's-
achievements for
they have
Halo,
a very
you can-
poor library right now for games for Windows Live, and
Okay.
I'm hoping they revive that
Am-
system.
Am I imagining this, or did I hear that Destiny was going to be cross-platform? Like,
It's
the-
PS3, 360.
Not-
He's
not
like-
just- not
he's
just
saying
that, but
PS3 will play
PS4.
Xbox players. Please.
yeah.
Oh,
I can't
I've
imagine.
heard- no,
I can't
I've heard
Okay,
They
that.
I-
don't
for
even use the
some
same
reason-
network, I don't think, right? I mean, it's a
Well,
different.
here's the thing:
I-
you can find a way to build an infrastructure that would sustain. Like, for example, if I bought a cow from you, why can't that monetary transaction be evident on the Xbox? It's just numbers.
Well,
But I can't imagine that Sony is going to permit that cross pollination between Microsoft and.
why not though?
Well, but you know what?
That would only benefit them. It would
Here's
have
the thing, though.
a-
Sony's been the first to do it with Portal 2. If you remember correctly, if you bought the PS3 copy of Portal 2, you got a PC or a PC and Mac, I think, or PC version of the game for free, and you could play.
See, if it's
players
possible,
on the
that would
PC.
I think that
I
would
don't
benefit
think
both companies.
We will ever see a crossover of the networks of Sony and
I-
Microsoft,
never.
but the
I
PC community is Because like Eve is already doing that
Yeah.
with it just came
Dust
out.
514.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, maybe not. I'm thinking because eventually I don't think we're going to have PlayStations and
Consoles.
Xbox anymore. It's
Yeah.
just going to be games. So, in that respect, everybody will be able to play the same game, but I guess it won't necessarily
Boy,
be.
I don't know. I just see those continents floating further and further apart than
Yeah,
coming
or
together.
more competition showing up. Like
Well,
a
no,
third
it'll
party.
be like there will be games made by Microsoft.
Well, he's
but
saying-
it will be all the games will be able to be played
Oh, they'll drop down to just
on
the
some sort of
developer
magic
level.
box,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
it'll be like Netflix.
There's
you
going
know?
to be a point when there's going to be a ubiquitous technological curve where it's not going to matter if you have an iPad or a Titan PC or a PS or an Xbox. Whenever you buy a game, it's not going to. It's
And it's
going to
gonna
be
be
cross-platform.
streaming.
It's just going to be, we made this game for play on your electronic device. It's going to happen eventually. People get fed up
No
having
one's
to
going
buy.
to wedge themselves and say
There's
that
no-
this
people are-
device will play both of your games, though. There's too many.
Well,
so much
people,
intellectual property
eventually, I
there.
am certain people are going to get tired of having the cycle of buying a new console every 6 years. At 600
Not to the
bucks,
point where the gaming community will revolt, though. And
not revolt, just ignore. They're gonna go to a PC style gaming model before you download your games. to
I
where-
think there will be some sort
yeah,
of
for sure.
universal
Yeah.
box that will play all games, and then whether it's a Microsoft game or
or
a
how
Sony
many years
game,
in the future are you talking about?
Oh, this might be
10,
10,
12
I
years.
don't know.
I'm saying like instead
2030.
of I think
doubt
it'll be quicker than that. I think it'll be the next instead of getting another console generation like an Xbox or like a PlayStation 5. I think by that time I'm guessing that we won't have.
Have you ever like read the
I doubt it, though.
relations between Sony and Microsoft?
It's
really
not gonna-
hostile.
it's not. They're not going to.
But they won't allow their like.
All they're doing is selling their games.
Why would
I don't think
They
it's
won't-
even
they won't
legal in
even
the
have to-
country if there was one console because there has to be competition or you're looking at monopoly
there will
issues
still
too.
be competition? They've got
if you're
their
using
name.
one
It's
console,
why would Microsoft or Sony step down from the being
because
on-
consoles are expensive.
and they never make money on consoles ever.
It's Sony just stepped
Yeah.
into the black, like they're
Exactly.
making money now.
Why the fuck would they want to make more hardware if it costs them more money? The only time Sony's ever made money, even on the PS2 until its 7th or 8th year, was when they started getting money for licensing their hardware to third-party developers and first-party developers. They make money on games. They don't
I
make
guess it
money
just
on
comes down to
hardware.
money.
They never have
It-
made money. No,
it absolutely
Nintendo
does.
is the only company who's historically made money on hardware, and they always sell the most diminished hardware possible, just so they can stay somewhat profitable in their sales. I mean, the Nintendo Entertainment Console, which launched in 83, 84, they were just breaking even for the first few years of its life. No one makes money on hardware sales. Apple, this device, like for example, this iPhone I have in my pocket, when it came out, it was a $700 device. No one was going to buy it, but if you get the phone service with it, they get a cut of that. They're making money on the software sales. Same thing for Sony, same for any hardware developer. It's
Right,
all about
yeah,
what you
yeah.
sell inside, content-wise.
I mean,
And who the hell wants to get out of a money-losing game? Everybody wants out of a money-losing game. If you can just sell software,
yeah, but who's
why not?
who's this third company that would come up to both of those companies and propose, "I will make the system, you will both develop for me"?
I just think that what's going to happen, technology is going to become ubiquitous enough to where we all have a touch interface.
I
We
think
all have a
it's-
series of buttons. We all have this to where we may not have the
Yeah.
same stick. It may not have the concave cups on the stick. It may not be the same shape dual analog. The D-pad may be moved around, but the buttons will
I
be
think
present.
it's-
Whether they're triggers or pads,
I
they'll
think
still
one
have
or the
them
other
there.
will just die.
You think it'll die off
like
first?
PlayStation
Yeah,
or
I don't think
Xbox
so.
would
I
die.
think one will pull
That's-
out of the race.
that's possible.
See Sega.
Okay, I think one of two things is going to happen. Well, what you say, one's going to pull out, and then it's just going to that one of those two, either Xbox or Microsoft, will be that universal box. Or I think it's also already happening because we have things like Steam that are already download services, and
Steam is trying to define the PC gaming industry by their own device, like the Steam box. They're trying to get out.
well, that's what I'm. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Why
but then-
even why even make a? I mean, here's the thing from their perspective. Why make a Steam box? Why get in the console game? Why not just make a
Well, it's
PC
not-
as an entry level PC?
It-
Why?
It's from what I understand, it is a PC that's geared like it's game ready, and it's optimized for using the Steam service. So, because there's not really.
But it's more of an interface
competition.
issue. It's more of a software issue. Like they're building like what's the name of that the interface they're creating for PC? That Steam's doing it. You're more savvy than I am, Busted. How they're doing that? Not the Ouya. I'm not talking about the Ouya. I'm talking about how Steam's doing that interface for controllers as opposed to having a keypad interface.
You're talking about like the. I think I saw something. You're talking about the same like Xbox has that room thing?
No, not the aluminum. You know how the interface on the Xbox has the tiles on the screen, or the PS3 has a cross media bar. Steam has been developing that new buyer's interface on the Steam storefront.
I haven't heard about that.
It's basically they're just trying to find a way to simplify the steps and the friction between the consumer and their digital download, or the product in this case. And they're a super smart company. I mean, gosh, Gabe Newell is Gabe, right?
You said I'm more savvy on this. I'm really not.
I mean, apparently, Gabe. I think it's Gabe Newell who runs Valve, right? I'm correct on that?
I don't know.
He's a smart dude, and
Good
he's
information bunch.
savvy enough to know that the biggest innovations that are going to occur in any type of media, especially video games, aren't going to be technological. They are not going to be how we interact physically with our stuff. The biggest innovations you're going to see in the next 10 years are going to be business, and you're seeing how he is doing with Steam, trying to minimize the amount of friction between you getting your product, you consuming your product. That's something Steve Jobs always talks about. It's something that has taken companies that are Japanese consumers like Sony and those people, it's taken a much longer time to adapt. You take a look at how well set up the Microsoft online store was, way better than the PS3 store's first 2 or 3 years. I mean, the first PS3 store was a web browsing window. It was bad.
Yikes.
Here's another thing to note too, though. Look at how the new PlayStation and I would assume the next Xbox also are going to be a lot closer to being a PC than like this current PlayStation 3. Everything was so proprietary with the PS3. They've changed that, so it's so much easier for developers to work for. Everything's pretty much the same. I think that's another step in consoles getting closer to PCs, and I think those two worlds are going to merge, and eventually you're just going to. I don't know. That's why I think everything is going to be
The point of
the Magic Box or the Steam
but
Box. Or
PC
whatever.
gaming is, I mean, it's an individual's thing where your gaming will only be as good as your rig, and so like there's no one box you get. I mean, I guess you
But
could
if
buy
you're
a pre-assembled system, but
If you're streaming the games off of a server, you're not even running them on your own machine. You don't have to. So the
are you
games.
talking about that thing that Sony wants to do eventually, or
Well, the cloud gaming service, or what is it called? Or you know, what's what's
Gaikai?
Yes, Gaikai. Like if they were to go to that sort of model, you wouldn't need a console and you wouldn't have to upgrade your
It's absolutely true.
your machines.
Because the game is
you're gonna
not
need
being
better
powered by
hardware as.
no, it's all
You could literally
streaming.
play
You're not
a
running
PS4
anything.
game on your iPad if they wanted to.
Oh, no, I see what you're saying.
That's exactly what they were doing with.
So all you need is a screen
OnLive
and a
Gaikai.
controller, basically.
All you
It's-
need is these tactile things in front of you because your tablet, your
Oh,
computer is not
geez.
powering
So-
the game.
Well, you're gonna need. I mean, the 5G network isn't supposed to come out until like what 2000.
2020.
Yeah. So American, unless Google Fiber is integrated
And that's
across
less
the
than 10
country.
years. That's
Have you ever heard of the futurist Ray Kurzweil?
Uh-uh.
He does a lot of commentary on singularity, and he was the inventor of like the flatbed scanner. I mean, he put it much more articulately than I'm about to speak it, but he talks about how the Fibonacci sequence works. You know how rabbits procreate, like you have 1, then you have 2, then you have 4, then you have 16.
Exponentially.
Exponential increase of time. Okay, that's the way technology works.
Yes.
Suddenly, instead of having 1 teraflop, you have 16 teraflops, then 32, and
Yeah.
everything increases exponentially.
Yep.
That turn's going to happen so fast when it comes to software sales and development and internet structure and stuff like that. When it hits the States, and we're behind Japan. It's a much smaller country in terms of our bandwidth right now. But you and I have talked about Google Fiber a few times before. When it hits, it's not going to be 20 or 30 years. It's going to be 1 year we wake up and suddenly we have as much data at our fingertips as we want. It'll happen that quick. That's the singularity he's talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean, and the biggest hurdle they'll have to go through is just undermining the current companies like Comcast that put a chokehold on your bandwidth. And
Yep.
I mean, that'll just be Google. All I have to do is say we're offering the service for less money.
You want it?
So
Unlimited? Here you go. Can jump on board.
yeah,
Because we have enough fiber optics already built in the United States. Like, was it 20 years the U.S. government gave all these tax breaks to companies that wanted to build fiber optic cable? Because we thought surely by now technology, phones, electricity, all this stuff's going to be on fiber optic. And we overbuilt. The entire country is over inundated with an excess of fiber optic cable throughout the country.
So it's an untapped resource.
It's a completely untapped resource. And
Huh.
so one of the things that they were trying to utilize is how to effectively manage the data that's being transferred through these quote-unquote pipes. And people like Comcast and Cox and even AT&T, they don't want you touching this stuff. This is the same thing. It's like, we don't want you going to get, solar-powered cars. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Well, so many security issues though in that. I mean, the wrong people tap into it in the wrong place.
That's true. And
the
that's the thing. It's
world
like,
will end.
as soon as you free it up for people, it's like, how do we manage it? How do we maintain it?
Oh, there's this awesome theory that I totally buy into, and it's that the exponential proliferation and growth of technology is what's going to kill humanity, like our own
It is
development.
dehumanizing.
Because someone's going to have their nuclear-powered toaster, in their kitchen that everyone has, and they're going to fiddle with it, like do one wrong thing, and then they're going to blow up their neighborhood. Like,
Well, the world is overpopulated. I read this really cool.
time for the morons
I know
to weed
it's
themselves
totally
out.
so callous. I know I'm such an asshole. I'm probably one of those guys who gets wiped off first. But there's this game, or not this game. There's this book I read one time. It's speculative fiction. This guy goes, "We can fix all the world's problems right now. Let's make a sexually transmitted disease that makes people sterile." It's like, well, it means people will be fucking a lot less, and there'll be less,
Or more.
unwanted
Have you seen
children.
Idiocracy?
But, yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
that.
it's the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's total opposite of that. It's
The
like
smart people don't breed enough.
Yeah,
It's got high school,
Electrolytes.
yeah. The high
but
school
it's like,
football
but
captain.
the whole point of the story is like whenever a kid is born, it suddenly matters, and people will start caring more because there's gonna be a lot less kids, and people will be fucking around less, and be a lot more concerned about the well upbringing of individuals as opposed to like,
It makes me think of so many good movies.
here's a sex trophy, go.
I think the Cylons will kill us before any of this crap happens. So I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, God bless
We're getting
us
pretty
all.
close. We've seen some of those Honda robots Japan's making. Man, it scares me.
You talking about the Asimo?
Yeah,
Asimo,
freaks me
man.
out, man.
I can talk
Bitches
tech all day
smiling
long.
at me.
Are you guys actually playing any games right now? I know Metro Last Light just came out. We've got Bioshock's been out for about 4 or 5 weeks now. I just started playing Guacamelee. I'm having a great time with it.
That's good.
It's a good game.
Nothing new.
No, go ahead.
Metro looks really good. It looks really
Darksiders
good.
2. You guys play Darksiders
I
again?
downloaded
Good
it recently.
things. Aren't you deaf in that?
In 2, yeah, you're death. First one's war. I actually like the first one better.
Mhm.
It's
That's
a lot
what
more
I
like
You and
God of
everybody
War.
else.
Yeah. The second one is
Sean,
like
Sean actually liked our guest from last week. He really liked Darksiders 2 a lot.
the Darksiders 2 is like the Force Unleashed 2. You guys play that one
Oh
too?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of like an Empire Strikes Back movie. It's got its moments, but you're waiting for the next thing to happen. You're waiting for the next one.
Yeah.
I think. But I don't. The only 2 left is chick with the what is it? Plague or
Oh, is it
famine
Horseman?
and yeah,
The Four Horsemen.
famine
Pestilence.
and pestilence. And I don't know how they're going to do those guys.
Somebody
You know?
Well, they're
bought
not.
Well,
I hope
somebody
not.
bought up
THQ went away.
no, but
Okay.
somebody bought up the rights to Darksiders.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was.
The next one should just be War again as the lead, and
Isn't
then
that
have the other
German company
guys
that bought
as your
everything?
multiplayer companions. I think
I don't
would be
remember
cool.
what they're
I think there's a better chance of that
I
happening
think
than
it was
Yeah.
German.
the full-on
Because War was
sequel.
freaking awesome
I'm-
with his giant sword
It
with
was like
blood and
Norse Hammer.
skulls.
It had a really weird name.
Huh.
Um,
I'm finally getting into BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
I've maybe 30 minutes or so. I'm not very far into it yet, but the art style in that game is incredible.
Have you gotten? So you've ascended the lighthouse, right?
Yeah, I've gotten some powers. Like I can throw a fireball.
You got some vigors.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Are you just wandering around looking at?
No, I'm
That's
kinda,
what I did.
I did.
Yeah,
That's what I
wandering
was
that
doing
game.
when I first played it, and I was like, I didn't know that if you pushed up, it would tell you where to go. So I was just like, I'm getting bored of walking around. So then that's why I think I kind of gave up on it so early. But it's also in the middle of God of War. By the way, I'm very close to that platinum. But anyway, yeah, it's fun. Like the character models and all the art style of that game is just incredible. There's a few things that kind of bug me, which I talked to John about earlier. Just like the melee is triangle, which is weird for me. And there's
Is it top?
I changed it.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna have to change that.
I went
And
to the whole Call of Duty style.
that's what I
controller
need to do
interface.
because I don't like
X or
zoom in
B
with
or
R3.
thumbstick.
Where
or-
thumbstick clicks is your melee.
Yeah, I need to change the control configuration, but I'm liking it. I'm excited to see where it goes.
That's
So,
scary, right? It's like a
It hasn't
terror
been
horror
yet.
game?
The first
What,
BioShock was
the whole series. Yeah,
No.
It's not horror. It's not
it's not
horror.
like Dead
no.
Space.
It's science fiction.
Crappy
Well,
pants.
the first
The-
one
the-
is creepy
It
because
was really atmospheric.
yes,
Like, atmospherically creepy.
it's a city that has fallen apart, so it's just the ruins
But-
of it. It's the first one is a city underwater, and everyone's gone crazy. So yeah, it's creepy.
There's
it's
something a
not
little
horror.
creepy about Infinite too, and it's
Yeah,
this,
because of the
like,
idealism.
I would say that
Yeah.
the indoctrination.
Yes.
That completely, it's almost tangible. The indoctrination of its citizens, and it's something that
Really
we can all
drown you at
relate
the
to. We
beginning.
grew up in the Midwest. We love our country and God and our flag, and we know what that looks like. And the funny thing about indoctrination is when it's given teeth, it's a really scary
They
thing.
really love
There was
the
a-
forefathers.
there
Have you
was
seen
a
enough statues of George Washington
yeah.
yet?
There was a scene where I was able to throw a baseball
Yeah.
at either it was a white man
It's
or
it's
a black
a
woman.
it's an
and then-
interracial couple. Yeah.
Okay. There were a couple. That makes
Yeah.
more sense now.
Thusly the
Or the
persecution.
announcer. So of course I threw it at the announcer because
You know, I did too. It's like I couldn't live with myself if I chose the other, but man, I wonder what impact that actually has on the story later
I'm
on.
curious now too because I got my ass beat a little bit. Well, they almost did, but
Yeah.
yeah, that
Then you
game's
put a
fun.
spinny meat hook in a man's face, and
That thing is crazy.
Yeah.
That weapon.
That game is so well designed.
and if you're not like adapted to that level of violence, it just gets brutal
Well,
real fast.
Because you
Yeah.
get these glimpses of blood and violence at the beginning of the game when you were in the lighthouse,
Mhm.
and then you go from this serene, beautiful moment where you walk up to the waters of the fountain, and you have these religious icons placed throughout the structure, and then suddenly it's not just like a knife cut or a
Shit
gunshot;
goes wrong.
it is a goddamn gauntlet in a guy's face.
But like from
is
that moment
grotesque.
on, since I've been playing, just shit is going wrong. Like
Yeah.
the first part, you're just kind
It
of
never
walking around.
stops.
That's
It's
kind of what I
wonderful.
was wondering.
It gets worse.
Is like, so the whole game, I'm just gonna. Okay, that makes.
I'm
guess I know
so
what
excited
look
for you to
forward
finish
to.
that. I mean, again, a twist at the end of the game. You may see it coming, you may not. It's
I-
just so smart.
I might have
It's such a
cheated.
well-written game.
I know a little bit of the ending. So
All right.
anyway,
well,
enough about Bioshock.
yeah.
That's a good game.
fantastic game.
Looking forward to
Metro
playing
2013, or rather, let's just say Metro
Last Light?
Last Light looks fantastic. I love games with lots of atmosphere. We're talking about Bioshock's atmosphere. This game is dripping with atmosphere. I haven't played it.
I
I'm
played
looking
the
forward to
first
that.
one.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
like a
2033?
PC game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was for 360.
Really?
Oh, it's 360 game?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Xbox.
No, it was 360.
Jeez. But it was a PC game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you're supposed to play the second one on PC.
Oh, well, there you go.
Way less tearing. Just
Less
technically
glitches.
speaking, it's way
I hear it's
better.
pretty glitchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the game is beautiful. I mean, maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I'll put up with some AI glitches here and there if the atmosphere and the story is engrossing.
Hmm.
I mean, there have been some games. I put up with the first Killzone on the PlayStation 1. There were some really bad anti-aliasing problems and stuff like that. But the atmosphere of the story had me pretty well hooked in, even though the game was enormously flawed. So those are video games. Talked about tech and video games for a long time. We've talked about TV.
You know what we haven't talked about?
Oh, I'd hear what we have.
Shield. It's coming
Have
out.
you watched the trailer?
Ooh.
Yeah, I did.
Don't touch Lola.
The only thing
Looks
I
awesome.
would get out of that show is Agent Coulson.
I hope
Yeah.
Robin from
Does
How
it-
I Met Your Mother is
Oh,
in there.
Yeah.
I
I
really-
saw a lot of Whedon alum in that film of
I
the.
didn't recognize any of the cast.
Well,
Because
one
they're
of
not recognized.
the African American character was a character who was a long-running character on the show Angel, which was produced by
Never
Joss
watched
Whedon.
that one.
The show looks like a mixture of what was that show he last did?
Dollhouse.
Dollhouse
Mm.
and the Avengers. It looks like you have a lot of kind of crossover in terms of that infrastructure.
I think
type
it's gonna
story.
be good. I mean, I can't imagine it being bad. It's
I don't, dude. Joss Whedon, he's 80% hitter, but when
And
he misses, he
this-
whips.
this is going to get good viewings. I think it's
Sure.
gonna have. I mean, nobody.
I think it's ambitious for Marvel to
Yeah,
do a
it is.
TV series.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
everybody
TV
who
series.
watches the Avengers or who's like following, Marvel movies right
Sure.
now is going to want to watch that.
Well, I'm
Because
confused about the timeline on this thing. Is this
It's
like
after
starting
the
from Iron
Avengers.
Man?
It's picking up after the Battle
after
of New
the
York.
Avengers.
After Avengers.
Coulson's
But-
death was faked.
Well,
He's alive,
Ooh.
so it's after Avengers.
Oh.
They,
For real?
They,
It's
tell
in
you
the
right off the
trailer.
bat. They tell you right off the bat. The preview actually says, "Well, we know Agent Coulson died," and he goes, "Welcome to level 7."
yeah, but what is it that
Oh, I missed that part.
there's some sort of they
Yeah, the
Tony
kid's
Stark
like-
talks about it. Oh damn it! I forget what he calls it though. Never
In
mind.
what,
just-
Iron Man 3? He talks
It's
about
in,
it?
it's the in the Avengers. He's like a something decoy, life decoy.
Oh, you're talking about the Nick Fury thing?
Maybe it was Nick Fury.
Well, Nick Fury.
Real
in the
life
comics,
decoy.
Where he
he's
threw
li-
the
he calls them
cards?
life decoys. No, life decoys are literally like robots.
Yeah, and so that's like theoretically they're saying that could have been.
That's the Nick
Cost.
Fury thing. And even from the 70s, you know, he'd always build like robots of himself to be in those cities to try to throw people off his trail. It's just a total Marvel comic book thing. The show looks
silly.
ambitious,
Gosh, I think
but
so.
I wonder. Like again, like I said, I love Whedon. I've watched everything he's put out thus far. Sometimes he flat out misses.
Here's
and
the
this
thing.
looks like it could be in the middle.
Every Marvel production has been a motion picture so far, right? So
Mhm.
people are going to expect that level of production quality,
Yeah.
budget,
That's
special
possible
They're
now.
not gonna
Look
get
at
it. They're not going to get it.
you think?
Nope.
I think they'll
Not
get
the
close.
budget.
Take a look at Fringe.
Look at Game of Thrones and
That's
look
an
at
HBO show.
Fringe
Right.
too is pretty
Fringe looks
damn
really
good.
Fringe looks really good. But its pilot episode cost $3 or $4 million. Then every episode following the pilot of Fringe was about $500,000 or $600,000 an episode.
They're
so
not.
you're talking about a pretty big markdown after your pilot.
They're not gonna get Avengers quality,
No.
but I think they're gonna get pretty goddamn good.
They could do a lot with $500,000 though.
Oh,
per
absolutely.
episode.
It's getting cheaper to put explosions in TV shows. I don't know.
Right.
You're not going to need
Whedon
the special
succeeds at being
effects that you're
character.
going to need with the Avengers because you don't have Thor, you don't have Captain America, you don't have the
So the way they're
you just
selling
got-
it is that Shield is going after
The
just-
next batch of superheroes.
right,
Yeah,
so
which is
that
smart.
They need to be
Create
super
New characters.
They
I
get
think it's
good-
a smart marketing ploy anyway for all the following Marvel movies that come out. They can plug it in this TV show
Mm-hmm.
and just market the piss out of whatever movie that's coming out.
I feel the same way about it as I do about like when there was in the works a Star Wars TV show before Disney bought up
Yeah,
everything.
there was a Seth
I
Green
did
one.
not want that. Of course, at this point, Star Wars is it's open source.
I would say that literally that where Whedon succeeds and where he probably doesn't get enough credit is he always builds strong characters first. And character transcends technology, it transcends budget, it transcends everything because dialogue and character will keep a person engaged long after the explosions and the smoke is cleared. I haven't seen any character in that preview, which is other than Colton, who engages me.
And we know him
Well, we
already,
don't
so it's
know
great.
these
I
Yeah,
think.
and I think that's
But look
dude,
how
Chris,
quickly
you and I
he-
are right on the mark. I think that's a
Yeah.
great place to start.
What did you say?
Well, that we already know Coulson, and he's
Oh.
going to be the lead, so
Right.
we love him.
But
We're
think
glad he's
about-
alive.
Then let's go. Yeah.
exactly.
Look back on Firefly. After that first episode, you were invested in those characters.
Absolutely.
And so one episode in, you're just like, I'm in.
That's called
So-
good writing.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
But this is the same guy. So
Oh,
It's also the same guy who did.
really?
Yeah, also the same guy who did.
But isn't he
Dollhouse.
having to subject himself to the
You like
Marvel
Dollhouse.
universe
I
and
know.
how everything is just cheesy, silly
he's directing it though.
dialogue?
But like
though? Doesn't mean
he
he's-
like I think Disney and Marvel are giving him a lot of
credibility,
yeah.
credence.
So I mean he
Yellow
is to
Slide.
some extent.
He
yes.
directed the second highest grossing film in history. He's in charge of the hottest intellectual property in the universe right now. It's
Ba-
probably going to be a win-win.
based
you probably
on
can't
what
fuck that one up.
if he based on what he did with the Avengers, if they had like I'm sold. I didn't have any problems with the Avengers, so that
I mean,
was Disney.
They've got
and
so many
Marvel.
things coming up in Marvel that it makes sense for them to have this TV platform to help launch all this stuff. I mean, because I kind of wonder if they won't burn out the franchise, honestly, because they're just pumping them out
Dude,
like
I'm
candy.
getting,
I
and
mean,
it's about to happen to Star Wars too, so brace yourselves.
oh, I'm ready for Star Wars.
I'm not even a little bit burned out. This is what I've been wanting since I was 8.
I had a
See,
student
that's-
last year who he was
Like,
Mr.
probably
Osborne.
we
I've
differ.
been waiting for like 6 months for this Avengers movie to come out. I looked at him and I laughed very condescendingly because I'm an asshole. And I said, "Child, little person, I've been waiting for this film for 30 years.
Yep.
You know nothing of my
Yeah, get over it. No, I think it'll take just one. I mean, I wonder if it will take just one flop for Marvel to settle down, like
Well,
Ant-Man.
are we past that? Are we past the point where that?
Ant-Man's Edgar Wright though.
I don't know.
Well, he's definitely not. The next film after Ant-Man is Doctor Strange. We're getting to the B-level characters. If Marvel can flip
But
these into
these, like, I'm getting more excited about some of these.
I like the B
Guardians of
characters
the
better than the
Galaxy.
A characters, typically. Keep in mind, Iron Man was not a top-tier Marvel character 8 years ago.
I think that's
It
going
wasn't.
to. I think that's going to
True.
keep it from getting stale because you're getting fresh and new. You're
Yeah.
getting characters that you're not familiar with. I think.
Right. Which is why I liked Green Lantern and you guys all hated it.
Well, that was just a bad movie.
But see, a guy like maybe like whoever percentage of the population that doesn't know anything about Green Lantern, like myself, I watched it and I was like, well, that's what the freaking lantern's for. Cool.
Okay, I can see that.
You know, I
can-
was interested.
If you didn't know, coming from that perspective, I can see it being a
Right.
little more interesting.
So I don't know what the.
That's why
I mean,
that's the fanboys were so furious about the Mandarin. It's like just watch it as the
I-
film. Watch it by itself. Ignore the fact that he's supposed to be something. Watch it for what it is.
was the Mandarin in the comics
Oh, yeah.
like a bio blow
no,
up dude?
the Mandarin in the Iron Man comics was literally this.
That'd be like making
Asian
Ra's al
terrorist.
Ghul like a fake actor.
Yeah,
like
totally. It's just like that. But if you just watch it for what it is,
I'm
and
sorry,
it works.
Raish
Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, Vinny O'Neill.
nerds.
Well, while we're talking comics, I'll make one little suggestion. I know you guys aren't the comic fans that I am, but I was showing Wes earlier this thing that Marvel's taking a bit of initiative on. I'm not just a Marvel guy. I love independent comics as well, but Marvel's doing this really interesting progressive thing where they're doing these comics called Infinity Comics, and Infinity is the difference between being animation and the difference between being a printed object. It's where there's a lot of art direction being given to how a book is laid out. As a designer, you guys would love to see this stuff. I'd love to show it to you later. I would just like to suggest anybody who has a tablet of any sort with the Marvel app, these Infinity Comics are free. Take a look at them. Even if you don't much care for the art or even the stories, you will be impressed with the layout and the artistic direction of these books. Marvel Infinity is worth your time. Trust me.
They were cool. Yeah, I checked them out.
Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. And that pretty much has anything for me in terms of media. You guys got any local funny stories about being Oklahomans or any events going on in your lives?
My life's been pretty exciting lately. But nothing
tell.
much- Well, I'm doing this podcast.
Recently, a bunch of my kids asked me to play music with them, and I'm first of all a guitarist. I like playing guitar, but I was banging on the drums next door to my classroom where I teach, and some of these kids from the orchestra said, "Hey, Mr. Osborne, why don't you come on out and play some drums with our orchestra?" I was like, "Sure, why not? I'll do it. It's no trouble at all. I'd love to play with you guys." And then a couple weeks later, the orchestra teacher comes by and says, "Mr. Osborne, thanks. Thanks for coming and playing with the kids." "Oh, it's my pleasure." She goes, "We need to practice during your 7th hour on Tuesday." I'm like, "Well, I've actually got class." She goes, "Well, don't you want to practice before the concert?" And I go, "What the hell are you talking about?" Apparently, my students had signed me up to play drums in a concert. I was telling you guys a little bit about this before, on the song Clocks by Coldplay, which, again, 4/4 songs, 16th notes, 8th notes, pretty simple beat. If you've never played with a 90-piece orchestra of middle school students,
Good luck
try
keeping
it.
them in line.
I was telling Wes earlier that I got one rehearsal. Got to play the song twice with the kids before I went in front of a few hundred people to play this song. And
It'll blend right in with the rest.
oh
they don't know
yeah,
what they're
because
doing either.
it's such a soft, elegant instrument. I remember at one point the orchestra leader, she was telling me that she was like, "Just follow my hand. Whenever my hand goes down, that's the one. And whenever I'll keep the tempo with my hands, just follow along." And at one point, she sees that her violins are going a little bit faster than her cellists, so she moves her body over to the cellist in front of me, and I can't see her anymore. I've lost tempo. And as I reach for her, I lose track of where I am in the song. In front of a few hundred people, I forgot what the next freaking part is. And so I just
The
stopped
rhythm
playing.
just drops.
So the drums go. And so I was like, "Oh, that's a weird place to put a break in a song, right?" And I don't know where to come back in.
It's Coldplay.
And so I literally just look at my kid. I look down at my kid in front of me, and I see these two toms, and I go,
And he starts crying.
"Fuck it!" Boom, 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 boom. And I go right. I pull like the stupidest Neil Peart solo to try to get back in this song. And it was not natural sounding at all. 16th notes. Here we go. It was tragic.
I like that you chose to make this grandiose entrance.
Instead of just creeping back in.
Instead of, I definitely would have went for a more like subtle, play real soft until
Maybe
I
the
kinda
triangle.
Come back in. We'll just maybe we'll just play it out with the cymbal here. Just kind of tap on it real lightly.
Oh,
Here's
God.
the
We're done for me for the night.
And here's the best part. Because they're 11, 12, 13-year-old kids, mostly girls, they look at each other and go, "What did we do wrong?" And I don't correct them because I am a shallow person from time to time. And I just keep playing all the way through. And now they're lost. We're all lost. We'll get to the end of the song together somehow.
I really hope Lily taped that.
Oh,
I want
I'm-
to see this.
I'm never playing it for you.
I want to see it.
I'll talk to Lily.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's make this happen.
Nope, it's lost.
What's on your phone?
Nothing is on. Now, all right. So, any other stories like that you guys want to share?
Oh crap, that's good stuff.
No.
No. Here's my most humiliating.
My son is becoming a bigger nerd.
Yes.
He's only 5. He sings the X-Men theme song very loud and obnoxiously. But something he's been starting to do is quote Doctor Who lines, which I love so much. The other day he goes, "Save the Daleks." And I was like, how do you remember that episode?
No
that was
kidding.
like 9 episodes ago.
He's 4 or 5 now.
He's 5.
5. Oh, perfect age. For
His
that
favorite
stuff.
episode is the Christmas special with the big ship, the cruise ship, with David Tennant. I don't remember which one that is, but he loves that one. He says, "I want to watch Doctor with the Ship." I'm like, I know what that is.
He might be a little bit confused when he watches the new Thor film because the Doctor's the villain in that one, right?
Yeah, but I
Is
don't.
he?
Yeah.
It's
Tennant?
Christopher Eccleston.
Eccleston, yeah.
It's one of the old.
Oh, he didn't like that guy. None of
yeah,
us
it's
did.
that older Doctor.
He'll be fine.
That'd be fun.
and he's gonna have like makeup on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be fun.
So,
Well,
No more stories.
Did we do
Wrapping
TV
this up.
shows already?
we
did.
talked
We
about
talked
Shield.
about
We talked about
Beast
Arrested
of
is
Death.
there
Development.
anything else you wanted to talk
No,
about?
let's
while
wrap
you're
up. Let's wrap up.
Wrapping up. We're wrapping up.
I think there's a TV show I would like to say everyone should watch because I don't think you guys have.
Go.
Go.
Falling Skies.
Oh man, that show
I
looks
have-
awesome.
Yeah, I've seen
Okay.
the first.
Because I'm a big sports fan, and TNT's been pushing the hell out of that show on breaks. I know you guys have been keeping up with the Thunder games this season. We're having a little bit of difficulty with the Grizzlies right now.
Of course, Eric.
Oh yeah, they're
Triple
doing-
doubles.
Those Bears.
You know, everybody
Boy.
has a little trouble every now and then.
Yeah, but you know,
You know,
it happens.
just
But they've been pushing
you
Fallen
gotta
Skies
tie
pretty
your
hard on
food up in a
TNT
tree
right now.
so they don't get it when you're camping. Go team.
Go team. And at our last podcast, I had a raccoon on my porch. He was quite happy to join us for our discussion. About,
Yeah, you wanted your bird seed.
Yeah, he got a bird seed. Son of a bitch got into it. Go
Alright.
figure.
Anyway, if you want to write into us, you can find us at getpluggedpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at getpluggedpodcast, I believe. I have to double check that. No. Get_plugged. That's our handle on Twitter. And Wes, do you want to plug anything?
You can listen to us, which you're already probably doing if you're hearing this, at getpluggedpodcast.com. And you can find me at Weskeydeen on Twitter, excuse me. That's WHESKEYDEAN. And that's all I got for you.
You can follow me at John Eric Osborne at twitter.com. We would love to hear your opinions and quick critiques and little anecdotes about film, movies, games you're playing. Go see Star Trek this weekend. Tell us what you think of it. Tell us if you feel a little lost, if you're a Trekkie or not, if you're a Trekkie or a Trekker. Let us know. However you guys respond to it, we'll discuss it on the show. We'd love to hear from people.
Chris, do you want to plug yourself at all? Or do you want to remain anonymous? That's cool if you do.
Yeah, I'm Chris Mckinnis. I do stuff.
What do you
Is that
do,
your Twitter
Chris?
handle?
Why don't you?
Oh,
don't
my
you
Twitter
tell
handle.
us,
It's pound. What do you guys call it here? Hashtag. It's hashtag these days, right? Hashtag CHMCKINN because I'm a douche.
What's that spell?
Yeah, it's
Hi.
like my. Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris is
Tweet
being,
me.
Chris is being a little modest here. I think we're gonna. Well, Chris and I play in a band together, and we're in a band called Code 22.
Yeah, check them out. They're good.
So
I've
you
seen
can
them.
find us. Where are we, Chris? Where's Code 22?
Oh goodness.
Just name a
Code22music.com. We're on
hopefully.
YouTube.
Yeah, we're on
Um,
YouTube. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
You're
doing
on
a video
SoundCloud,
this
so
Friday.
if you're listening to
SoundCloud.
this.
Yeah.
You
So
can just
look
buzz
us up.
right over
We're,
there.
we're Code 22, and I'm probably going to play a song if I can get Chris and everybody to agree with at the end of the
Yeah,
episode.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
anyway, probably play a Code 22 song. So
Foxhole.
yeah, that's it.
You can check out some of our nerdy tracks on SoundCloud. We got a Star Wars cover, an X-Men cover,
Yeah, we do.
Ninja Turtles cover. Check them out. Comment on them. Tell us if they suck. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, enough about you.
Okay.
You can find me, John, at pretty_sketchy on Twitter. I don't tweet much. But feel free to hit me up through there. I'm gonna try and get some of my design work online one of these days. So that's coming. I just gotta get off my lazy butt and buy some server space. But yeah, so I'll keep you posted on that. And with that about does it for our grand episode 3.
And remember, whaling is illegal in Oklahoma.
There's a lot of lakes around here with big whales. Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Hello, and thanks for sticking around. Like every week, we will end the show with a song. This week, the song is by Code 22, which is a band that I play in with this week's guest, Chris Mckinnis. The song is called Nerdgasm. I hope you like it.